Hello everyone. Thank you for joining everyone. I am Ankita and today I have a very special guest with me. She is Neline Mondal ma'am. She has been live with us once previously as well. Uh, she is a heritage worker, a teacher, a social worker, artist, a scientific researcher, whatnot. And she's an inspiration. We'll learn more about from her, about Christmas as well, about her journey. She was born in Belgium, but then she was brought up in Netherlands, France, and finally she is settled in India for the last 32 years. So we are glad to have you with us today, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
Merry Christmas. Yes, I'm
Merry
there.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What are your plans for today, ma'am?
Well, they are very special. Honestly speaking, I just came back from huge groceries because, as usual, on festive days, the women of this huge house with 32 members are all together cooking. That is the huge advantage of this old system of very big old houses with many, many family members, what we call the joint family. Many are, when they see this happen, like, my God, it reminds my grandmother's time. These things are gone. Nuclear families is not possible. Sometimes flat neighbors, they try to recreate like a family, like flat societies a little bit do it, like cooking puja. They do it. This is specifically Bengali. You won't see Mumbai or Delhi people doing that. That's specifically Bengalis. They started doing a puja, then it becomes like an extended family. But of course, it's never the same like the genuine united old family generations together. It always remains, of course, something different. So that's exactly what you're doing today and tomorrow. The women are all cooking. It's simply like family feast. No need to go anywhere in the crowds and all that. No need. It's much better to be home cooking, dancing, talking, having fun together as a family.
Amazing.
That's
Ma'am,
exactly what we're doing.
how many members are there in your family now?
32.
32.
32 members, and you also have some guests coming, which are absolutely family members. So it becomes like 36 people joining in this time because some, like PCR, Chile, Dronep, like this type of, like cousins are coming in as well. So
Right.
36 people for this session.
Absolutely. Even I'll be going to my cousins today in the evening.
How
Yeah.
many people in your family?
So mine is a nuclear one. It's mother, father, me, my sister, and my
But
grandma.
I'm speaking of cousins. How many have they?
Okay. So cousins are total 11.
That's okay. That's already a group. It's not 36, but it's a group. It's something, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And one interesting fact is also that my sister's birthday is also today. So she was
Oh,
also.
this is great. I had an uncle, a J2, whose birthday was today. One of my students, French students' birthday was yesterday. Those are special birthdays, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
this is great. I had another friend was born on 1st January. I mean, those are lucky ones. My own son is born on 5th September, Teachers' Day. So you have this type of people who have very, very lucky birthdays. And it's nice. It's very nice to have, birthday and Christmas. Very, very nice.
Yes. So we have a few questions from our users, from our members. The first question is: you have been to so many countries, right? And how has been Christmas there? How has been it?
If you say, country per country vary. Not everyone celebrates Christmas in the same way at the same time. Like, for example, the Russians have it actually in January. The Armenians have a big celebration every first Sunday of January, right here in Chinsurah. They even come from abroad in St. John's church because one of the last members of the royal family is buried right here in Chinsurah, a refugee, and his son and father both. Then, of course, in the Germanic countries, it's still celebrated as the origin of Father Christmas, which actually Saint Nicholas, who, unlike Father Christmas, was a really genuinely existing person. And so for in the Germanic countries, it's not really now the big celebration. It's 5th and 6th December. In Italy, neither. Like many, many different countries have many, many different festivals, which are bigger than Christmas. Now, for the British origin countries, it is indeed Father Christmas. I should say, among the Commonwealth, in all places I have traveled, Christmas in the purest spirit I have found in the USA. Like it's even in Washington. I mean, it's they all join together. They're anyway famous for making soup kitchens for the poor and all that. You never compare the general population to the politics. The general American is actually quite friendly. Now you have in Washington all these Americans volunteering together, making nice things, making those huge tents, and starting to distribute so many nice and delicious things to people. So even I took part, like in Washington, just near the White House, you have those huge tents, and all those volunteers are celebrating. They're giving soup, this and that. So they're doing that instead of having a celebration with family. They find it is more important to do something for the public. And so there is like this open soup, these open kitchens, and for several days you just go eat, have your fill. And those people are standing there hour after hour instead of doing some cozy celebration home. So that's the spirit of Americans too. I didn't go to Canada during Christmas. It wouldn't be surprised me that they do the same thing. Though it's a bit more complex because it's even colder, than in United States. You have to count this too. The climate factor, but definitely. And about India, I should say, yes, sorry, I'm going to be asked about that later. So in America, definitely, if you purely speak about Christmas itself, it's definitely America. This is where, by the way, it changed from Saint Nicholas to Father Christmas in America, in New Amsterdam, literally, which later became New York. And well, okay, go on for your next.
Yes.
Go on for your
How many
next.
countries have you been? How many countries total?
Oh, many, so many. Yeah. Then I would start. I have to start counting. I mean, with my parents, we moved quite a lot. Then I can tell you how many continents. Like one, two, three. No, basically it's still three continents, but in each continent I moved quite a lot. But it's still basically three continents. Oh, it's so many countries from childhood. Even we were in Eastern Europe, which was quite rare for a Western European child to be in Eastern Europe, but I was. I seen it in those well, should we say, quite fearful times. In the communist time where you had to hush up, don't look at security, don't speak your thoughts. I've seen everything in my childhood. So it has formed me a lot. It's not like, only the luxurious Western childhood. I've seen a lot of things from childhood. And that's great. I'm very grateful to my parents for that. I very quickly knew that our life was a very protected, luxurious cocoon, and it was not at all like this in other parts of the world.
Right. How is your experience here in Kolkata, in Chandernagore?
Well, I should say, I should speak about Bengal first. Yes. Bengal is one of the states of India which are the most inclusive. It's really like, I never forget when a friend said, you have a Hindu standing in line at a Jewish bakery for a cake baked by Muslims for a Christian festival. I'm like, wow. This is Bengal, but of course not only Bengal, but it's definitely one of the most inclusive states of India. And of course, Chandernagore is special too, because after all, it was a French territory, we should say, comptoir. And of course, the church is formerly French. So there is a bit of a little different touch. Obviously, it will be something special. There is this beautiful strand. So the beautiful settings make it, of course, more special in Chandernagore. Though it's not a big town, we don't need that. We're quite happy here. And about India as such, when I came to India, I was struck by the completely inclusive spirit of Christmas. I permit myself to say openly that there are some changes occurring very recently. There's no guessing why. The situation is not too good nowadays. I permit myself to say that. Not fearful to say it. But when I came to India until quite recently, few years ago, It was very terrific, inclusive, very peaceful, and very beautiful. But it totally celebrating the spirit of Indian people and Indianness. Magnificent.
Right. And I think the diversity in the intercultural thing in just one country is amazing.
It's amazing, and I hope it survives it. I'm not afraid to say once again, despite repetitive onslaughts going on recently, I hope that the Indian people will be resilient to maintain it. Indians have gone, you couldn't even say Indians, it's a term comprising so many different cultures and languages and religions, but they did still form one unity. So I hope the Indians, the Indian panorama has proved its strength every time. I think and believe in the Indian panorama that they will survive this one too, and that things will go back to the very peaceful, inclusive nature. And not only during Christmas, I mean, see during Durga Puja, so many people of different religions taking part, not only in pandal hopping, but even committees. This is
Absolutely.
beautiful. Even while in Nonatola a few years ago, they actually several religions together were making the puja. I mean, it's beautiful. I love this, and that is the culture and nature of India.
Absolutely. And our team Utsav is also working for the same thing. We are trying to bring together all culture, every festival on a virtual
Ah,
platform.
yes, that's also why I purposely say it here because I know as a platform you are working for that, and I'm here with a team who is quite like-minded with me on this matter. Go on,
Amazing.
your turn.
Yeah. So moving on to our next question, we have like you have been a social and heritage worker, right? And you have seen a lot of sectors, a lot of parts which right. So which sector do you think is currently in a lot of need and people should work actively in that sector?
Well, let's see that I have been, not only I alone, but with me, some others have been very successful in putting to the far lights, to the forefront heritage. It was totally neglected. So for now, I say I'm happy with the results. People are aware, and we should maybe a bit go back to basics for the moment. Leave heritage not totally, but keep it there for the moment, because you know very well we have this COVID going on. Many people I mean, it's literally the medical services, isn't it? So the awareness, repeatedly teach people to please wear their masks, please take their vaccines, the medical welfare, nutrition. I mean, if you are not properly fed, how will you resist a disease? So even education, of course, is usually important because it helps people to think logically in terms of pandemic, to be more careful about awareness and hygiene and all that. So I think, and of course, things like safe childbirth and all that. So I think that for the moment, we should a little bit more go back to the basics, food, nutrition, and medical sector till this waves goes away. And as I never like to encourage people too much to go, for example, into situations where they can get a lot of trouble, I say for the moment, whatever is being tried to say, let's say, tarnish the inclusive culture of India. I say if people all work together for the medical purpose, nutrition purpose, and all that, automatically it's all people together. So it will add automatically back to the inclusive spirit. If as youth of all communities together, you work together on those most basic needs, automatically you integrate. You get to know one another. So it serves also the purpose of integration through the most basic needs of the poor, those who don't have a roof above their head. I mean, if you are infected with COVID, for example, you are freezing cold in the night, you have no roof above your head. You have to expect, of course, that you will be facing it more, or there are open drains all over your neighborhood. You live in the stench of it. So obviously, hygiene and all that. In the times of COVID, I think we should Focus on that for the moment. And of course, income generation. It's exactly without being able to say details. I'm again going to train artisans for the higher income. I can't say the details unless it's done. But there's a 1 year project in this matter also, which will significantly create income generation of quite a number of artisan women, and through them their family. And there we reach also the fact of women empowerment. A woman who's educated, properly fed, and empowered is more able, obviously, to help her family in times of need. There again, I refer to the COVID times. So also awareness to everyone to take their vaccines. So I should really focus on income generation, health, roofing, money, housing, the most basic needs of nutrition. That's what we need to focus on now. And when the worst crisis is over, of course, we can go back automatically to heritage and all that. We should. But it's not the immediate focus when there's a matter of survival for many in on the pandemic issue.
Right, right. And talking about the pandemic, like this pandemic has turned us digital a lot. Like we were not used to getting online education, we were not used to working from home. So along with all these things, like I have a lot of my friends who are, currently they are active digitally. They're active on social media. But the moment you tell them that you have to, meet somebody in person, or you can call somebody up and talk, they feel awkward. Why can't we just drop a text? Can't we just do it on WhatsApp? So, what do you think? Like, you have been a part of so many countries, you have visited and met so many people. So, what will be your suggestion, and how can the youth actually work for it?
Actually, you're absolutely true that there is a loss of contact with the normal world. And think about those who were just like 15, 16, or even younger when the pandemic started. The schooling and the education in college is a very significant teaching tool how to handle society, how to get out of your protected house cocoon and learn to handle society. Can you imagine the years lost? For the life, they are facing some handicap. So this is a very tricky one because I do not know under present pandemic condition how to encourage people to go more physically, socially active. It's a very, very critical one. I mean, nothing compares the offline. Yeah, like for example, among my many activities, I teach too. Okay, the online has one advantage that in my class I will have someone from America, someone from India, across time zones. But there is nothing like a physical class, the blackboard and chalk. You just this body movement, this eye contact. I mean, this vibration you have, like the telepathic vibration you have with your students, you just don't get that online. So this is a very tricky connection, money question because honestly say I don't know how to solve this trouble. How to under pandemic time encourage people to be more socially daring, to physically meet, physically talk. I mean, after pandemic, I will have huge quantity. Of course, purposely send a youth out to meet together, this and that. But during pandemic, it's a tricky one. I mean, it's a catch-22 situation. Honestly, I have no reply. I just don't
Right,
have any reply to that one.
right. So, from your experience, would you like to share some of the best memories you had with, people, unknown people, new people, and how you, portrayed yourself or your culture? How any experience you remember?
I remember when I was here, I couldn't even speak Bengali. And the way people respect others very much. Actually, one thing about Bengal and a few other states of India too, the general cultural level of people is very high. So people are very well able to understand. Of course, I won't give any names of states, but there are some states of India where it's more basic. So you don't get through to people because people just don't have the cultural background needed to understand the newcomer. Bengalis respect me so much because they have inside themselves the conception, the education, the culture, and everything to respect someone. So it's really the credit of the Bengalis more than me. I am what I am because I am in Bengal. And it could have, the same could have happened in few other states of India, but basically it's that. So I would never be an inspiration to in a state where people not have a certain, uh, how to say, it's not very nice to say it, in a state where people don't have the conception too much to realize and others, newcomers, okay? And the best memories, but there are so many. Even, even when you have with some people, always there's a lot of good, and there are also some less good experiences. Of course, there are. Everyone knows that. But you think always even the not good experiences should be taken as good because you learn, and
Absolutely.
learning it's always positive. It's the way you look at things. If you find something is not positive, it's not positive. If you find something is positive, it's positive. So I can't say what will be the most positive, less positive, because it's the way I feel it now. Among so many years, how will I specifically? Of course, probably meeting my husband. As any woman, I would say meeting my husband, having my child. Yeah, I
Right.
would say like any person would say, but beyond that, it's the encounters. You have to keep your eyes open at all time
Right.
for what's coming your way, and grab the opportunities when you see it. You can do something good with it.
Absolutely. Ma'am, what do you do in your free time? Some of your hobbies?
Well, in my free time, I always think out for literally for my future projects. I'm very
Okay.
creative. I shouldn't say so myself, but I'm a creative person. So I'm always thinking also in the sense of art, like when I have to train artisans, my head is automatically working on designs and ways to proceed. So basically, the free time is always spent in a very good way. Sometimes to do art also, like I've done sculpting in my free time, or learning things, literally learning new things. I always try to spend it usefully, not to waste it. Like, no, just when if I listen to music, it's where it's more like classical music for a reason you know very well because you had this yoga therapy literally through music, which I spoke about the last time. So I always find that the free time should also have a purpose. Time wasted never comes back. You lose some money, you get it back. You lose your health, you gain it back. But you lose time, you never get it back. The gone is gone.
Absolutely. I think that's the golden words from today's session. Um, yeah, I totally agree. Like, even I am the kind of person I don't like wasting time. Whenever I get free time, I think, what else can I do? What else can I improve on
Exactly.
myself? What new skills can I learn? Say, suppose I don't know swimming. So, my next target is the moment pandemic is gone, I'll go and learn swimming. I think some skills are, life skills. They are not just hobbies, but they're life skills. They help you in, when there's a need. And then maybe your education or your other stuff doesn't help. That's the skill you need to know.
Like even to be street smart, to know how to deal with people. This is not something education can learn. Your health, your attitude, your street smartness, the way you approach people, the way you usefully spend your time, those are immensely more valuable than, so called education. Those are also education and very valuable.
Absolutely. And I think they cannot be taught. They are something that people learn with experience only.
It's just like art, photography and all that. You can't learn something like that. You are born with an ability, and everyone has different abilities. Each person should try to find his or her personal ability and do something with that.
Right. And talking about hobbies, these hobbies have also changed with the generations, right? Like our grandmothers or mothers, they had hobbies like knitting, stitching, but these things are generally, they have faded away with the upcoming generations. Now people have hobbies like, maybe the same thing, maybe art, but in the form of digital art, in the form of graphics, right? So that's interesting as well. And what do you think? Like these are some parts of Indian culture, right? Like katha stitching or say embroidery, but these things are generally going on. So like, what do you say?
Well, I say that they have to survive through artisans because also it's their income, and anything lost is lost. Even if few people still practice it, it has to survive. It is pretty much like, by genetics, the loss of a rare plant or the loss of a language and all that. Loss is loss. So even if it's practiced by very few, just enough that the art or language or anything survives, it will do, but don't allow it to lose. And of course, about artisans, as I said, I'm going to train artisans who are already doing some skills, but I'm going to add some skills to it and make it a combination skill. And of course, for their livelihood, even for the sake of that, it should survive. Isn't it so? Because many people live out of it, not only a hobby. I've
Absolutely.
always worked for artisans for years and years. From many years, I've been working for artisans, kata stitching and everything. It has to.
Sure. I think you can, like, if our audience, say somebody from our viewers would like to connect with you, learn some of these skills, maybe you can drop your link, or you can or they can connect with us, we can connect them with you. And I think this is something that can be done, and that can bring a lot of value.
I'm still searching one third group for Chandernagore. I've already have two groups of women who are working with textiles. We are still open to a third group before we start, of women who specifically work with textiles. Of course, it has to be in District Hooghly. I can't in COVID time travel enormous distances. And by the way, we forget nearly one point. I was going to say something about the history of Christmas. So actually, Father Christmas became actually Saint Nicholas, which is called also, who is also called Sinterklaas, is a really ancient living bishop who lived in Smyrna, who was very famous for generosity from childhood, and the Dutch call him Sinterklaas. And he's, as I told you already, still celebrated in the Germany countries very widely, even Switzerland, Germany, name it. So actually, when New Amsterdam became British New York, the Britishers saw this Sinterklaas celebration. They put it back by 20 days to 25th December, and they changed the name to Father Nicholas. Now, about Sinterklaas, it's actually initially French nuns who continued the tradition. They, every 5th December night, deposited not books like food and toys and all that to needy families and their children. And when these poor people the next day, 6th, would see all these gifts, the nuns would say, "Yes, Saint Nicolas came and gave these gifts." So this started the tradition of Saint Nicolas, who now in France is not anymore so much famous anymore due to the much Catholic imprint, but still in Germany countries. And also he has had a very hard life because in the Roman times, there was still some like how to say this, a backlog of the mentality that didn't accept Christians. So he actually faced also 7 years of imprisonment and immense torture and all that. So he's had a very, very hard life, and he's a real life person who became a saint. I like Father Christmas, of course, who is a nice imaginary person. So that's in a very nutshell, because I can say so many more things about it, like also Jesus having been to Tibet. About 25th December is actually the date where the earth goes back, when it tilts its axis. How to say, we go back to longer days, and literally, if you look at the stars, there is the Virgin Mary constellation, and when the earth tilts again, it's very complex to explain. It has to do with literally with sky watching. and the constellation which is called the Virgin. And that's why you say Jesus got born from the Virgin Mary. But actually mean nothing else than related the Earth tilting its axis back to longer days. It's
Interesting.
quite complex, and this Virgin is actually the constellation in the universe, which is called Virgin. And this 25th December is a very old thing. It is not at all Jesus' real birth date. I mean, it was just put like that. But probably he can be born anytime. But it's existing from even the time of the Egyptians and before, like the god Ra and all that. It was every time the same significant days. So many gods and ancient gods have supposed also been born in 25th December. So the Bible simply picked it up and continued the tradition with Jesus, but originally not. So many
Okay.
things have been picked up from other religions and input in the Bible and Jesus.
Interesting. Okay,
Yes.
that's amazing. I think every time we connect, I just keep listening to you, how beautifully you start telling your stories and the history and stuff. Any closing note that you would like to give to our viewers?
I would give to the viewers that enjoy the festival of Christmas. It's there for everyone. And beyond Christmas, try to always keep the same spirit of peace, generosity, loving one another, amity. Maintain it. Christmas is Christmas, but what is being practiced and taught during Christmas, please maintain it the whole year through.
Amazing. Absolutely. I think it's not about just festivals and keeping the spirit high about that. It's also about celebrating and respecting your emotions at different times, right? Sometimes you
Exactly
might
so.
be happy, sometimes there might be you are sad, but never be complaining to your life, right? We should be happy with whatever it is. Everybody goes through ups and downs, but I think it is respecting the emotions, every emotion.
And every
Exactly.
person is different, thinks different, emotes different, feels different. Okay,
Yeah,
but you respect this. I mean, you know the way we think of others is a mirror. The way I am, I have a tendency to interpret others. So we have to learn to shed away this mirror and try to see people who they are, what they are, without thinking and interpreting them through ourselves. This is where we can achieve real inclusion and real unity. Is when we stop people interpretation as per what I am or who I am, but try to shed away my own thoughts, my own being, my own feelings, my own everything, and think the person like a blank page, put my mind like a blank page, and try to see the person for who he or she is. For
absolutely.
that is very important to try to
Right.
understand people, and everyone has value. Every person has a quality. Find it and connect with it. Build on it. Exchange on it. Everyone has something to give. Young and old, ill and healthy, man and woman, anyone of any creed, everyone has something to give. Give on that.
Absolutely.
Build on that.
Everybody has their own stories, own experiences, and everyone is different. That's the, I think, the most unique part, that nobody's story is similar to nobody else's.
No, absolutely. Everyone is unique.
Right.
Everyone is special.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining today. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy with your family, friends,
Yes.
and we'll see you once again someday. Thank you.
Thank you.